Alright, let's talk about some of the tuning aspects. First thing, going across the tabs on top here is your flight style. This is related to the paddle sim most likely, or mostly. So basically what this means is as you move the stick left, right, up, down, your cyclic and all your inputs, if you do it very slowly, it's going to be like very smooth and very stable. And if you do a quick movement, it's going to be much faster than it would if you didn't have this parameter. So it gives you kind of a cool feel where you can do those really fast TikToks, but at the same time you can fly really smooth and slow if you want to. Too much of it and it feels disconnected. I was playing around with this and I brought it up to 6 and I felt disconnected because it was almost too slow when I was moving slow, and moving fast just felt normal. I really like the stock setting of 4, but again, it's preference. If you're running really high roll rates, it might be better to put more of this so you get that smoother feel, but I run pretty moderate roll rates, so 4 is about perfect. Next up, alright, your sensor. Of course, your cyclic gain, this is going to be based on feel. Some people will tell you keep increasing it until you get a bounce and then back it down a bit, but I find with cyclic gain it has more effect on feel than anything. So the best way to tune this is to set a few different parameters without changing anything else with the banks and fly it. Fly it with 57 and then 65 and then 70. Just feel it out and see where do you get those oscillations and what do you like to feel best without changing any parameters. It's kind of just like a disconnected feel if it's not right. Down here, your rotation speed is exactly that. So you increase this in your cyclic, you're going to roll faster, you're going to flip faster. I think it's a set rate that the sensor detects. So no matter what hell you put it on, it's going to be similar in terms of flip and roll rate, which is what I noticed between my Column 570 and the X3. And your rudder is simply your rudder speed. This goes all the way up to 20, which is just pure, blur pyros, or you can go really slow. I find 9 for smooth flying and I like 10 or 11 for the harder 3D stuff. I have a bank with 9 and a bank with 10 for both the cyclic and rudder, and it's I find it works very well. Not much tuning in here, so we'll skip to advanced. Alright, your stick deadband, of course, this is just how much deadband around center. I had this at 10, but I'm going to move it down to 8 because I like a little less deadband than I had before. Your pyro consistency. So if you find that you've set your tail gain perfect and you're doing collective pitch pumps and you're still getting a pretty good kick, chances are your power consistency is too low. Keep increasing this value until those pyros or until those pitch pumps in your movements keep the tail really locked in. You don't want to go too high. If you're over 180, then something else might be wrong. Maybe your tail servo is not fast enough, or your blades are not strong enough to keep up with it. But I'd say between 160 to 180 is where we want to be at with this. And again, it really helps keep that tail locked in on those pitch pumps and hard collective movements when the tail will typically kick. Your revel mix is basically just a pre-comp. It's recommended against using this last case scenario. And typically if you're using this, that means something else is wrong. You don't have enough tail authority because your blades are too small. Maybe your tail blades are spinning too slow and you need to up the gearing because your head speed's too slow for that setup. Or maybe your tail servo is just not up to par. You get a better tail servo. Elevator filter. This should be set to 1. Typically, you'll find that if it's at 0, the way you know that you need to add more or less is if you do a hard collective movement and you get a bounce. So you go full negative and you go a quick positive pop to just get it to settle, and instead of it stopping perfectly, it'll bounce a bit. I find the set a value of 1 for me has worked out very well. I don't know at 0 right now. I think maybe it's not set up right, but 1 is how it should be for most helicopters. Again, you'll notice this if it's wrong when you do those hard stops, and you'll see a bounce. Pitch up compensation. This is if you're doing full forward flight, and then you'll see like a pitch up. If you see that, just keep adding to this value until it goes away. Or if you're doing a full forward flight and you kind of turn it into a roll or circle, like a big loop, and you'll see it not go smooth through that loop, then you want to adjust this. Cyclic phase is really more of a big deal for multi-rotor helicopters. Typically, it's set to 90 degrees right now, which almost all two-bladed helicopters have phase lag of 90 degrees, so you don't have to worry about changing that unless you're running a 3-blade or 4-blade or some obscene level of blades in your head. Cyclic feed forward. This is the decay rates of the servo. So what I mean by this is, you look over here, you'll see if I move my stick quick, how fast and smooth the servo moves. To give an example, I'll bring it down to the lowest level, which is 1. And now, see how slow it is to react? It's almost off. Now, if you bring it all the way up to 10, it's much quicker. I don't know if you can tell in the video too well, but that's where your decay rates are. How quickly it does those movements. I found the value of 6 was just about perfect on this. But again, it's going to be your feel, your preference, and what you like. And that's about it. There's really not much to tune with this helicopter. You want to make sure, or this unit, you want to make sure that your tail jobs your tail gains are set properly. So go up until you get a wag. Once the wag goes away, back it down just a tad bit. Get the cyclic gain set up right, which the banks can be used very effectively for. And then you can start playing with the other stuff. Again, power consistency, all these other parameters that I already went over. And then you'll get your helicopter locked in. It really shouldn't take more than a couple flights of adjusting things, and you're good to go. Any questions, let me know.